Hello, boys and girls. Our reading lesson for today is to identify words that suggest feelings in the books that we're reading. Words that suggest feelings are words like happy, sad, mad. So I'm going to read a book, and as we're reading, we're going to be listening for words that suggest feelings. The book that I'm going to read is The Story of Ferdinand. This story was by Munro Leaf. He is the author. He's the person that wrote the story. And the drawings were by Robert Lawson. Robert Lawson was the illustrator. He drew the pictures. So I'm going to read the story of Ferdinand, and now let's listen to see if we can hear any words that suggest feelings. Once upon a time in Spain, there was a little bull, and his name was Ferdinand. There he is right there. All the other little bulls he lived with would run and jump and butt their heads together. He liked to just sit quietly and smell the flowers. There he is, smelling flowers. Do you like to smell flowers like Ferdinand? He had a favorite spot out in the pasture under a cork tree. It was his favorite tree, and he would sit in its shade all day and smell the flowers. Sometimes his mother, who was a cow, would worry about him. She was afraid he would be lonesome all by himself. Oh, did you hear a word that suggested a feeling? I did. Afraid. Afraid's a word that suggests a feeling. Why don't you run and play with the other little bulls and skip and butt your head, she would say. But Ferdinand would shake his head. I like it better here, where I can just sit quietly and smell the flowers. His mother saw that he was not lonesome, and because she was an understanding mother, even though she was a cow, she let him just sit there and be happy. Did you hear another feelings word? Happy's a word that suggests feelings, doesn't it? And also lonesome, because Ferdinand's mother was afraid that he would be lonesome, and that's a word that's feeling, because when you're lonesome, you're feeling kind of sad and lonely, aren't you? As the years went by, Ferdinand grew and grew until he was very big and strong. Look how big he is now. All the other bulls who had grown up with him in the same pasture would fight each other all day. They would butt each other and stick each other with their horns. What they wanted most of all was to be picked to fight at the bullfights in Madrid. Wow, they want to be in the bullfights. But not Ferdinand. He still liked to sit just quietly under the cork tree and smell the flowers. He's a very gentle bull, isn't he? One day, 5 men came in very funny hats to pick the biggest, fastest, roughest bull to fight in the bullfights in Madrid. Do you think they're going to pick Ferdinand? All the other bulls ran around snorting and butting, leaping and jumping, so the men would think that they were very, very strong and fierce and pick them. Ferdinand knew that they wouldn't pick him, and he didn't care, so he went out to his favorite cork tree to sit down. So there goes Ferdinand. He's going to go back to his tree over here. He didn't look where he was sitting. And instead of sitting on the nice, cool grass in the shade, he sat on what is that? A bumblebee. Uh-oh. What's going to happen when he sits down on that bumblebee? Well, if you were a bumblebee and a bull sat on you, what would you do? You would sting him, and that is just what this bee did to Ferdinand. Look at Ferdinand's eyes. What do you think just happened? Do you think he just felt that bee sting him? Wow, did it hurt? Ferdinand jumped up with a snort. He ran around puffing and snorting, butting and pawing the ground as if he were crazy. Uh-oh. What's going to happen next? The 5 men saw him, and they all shouted with joy. Here was the largest and the fiercest bull of all, just the one for the bullfights in Madrid. Oh, I heard a feeling word. Did you hear it? Joy. They were so excited that they shouted with joy. That's a feeling word, isn't it? So they took him away for the bullfight day in a cart. So there he goes. Poor little Ferdinand. He's going off to fight in the bullfight. What a day it was. Flags were flying. Bands were playing. They're taking Ferdinand to the bullfight. And all the lovely ladies had flowers in their hair. Who likes flowers? Do you remember who likes to smell the flowers? They had a parade into the bull ring. First came the banderilleros, along with long, sharp pins with ribbons on them to stick in the bull and make him mad. Uh-oh. I heard a feeling word. Did you hear the word mad? Would it make you mad if someone stuck you? It would me. Next came the picadores, who rode skinny horses, and they had long spears to stick in the bull and make him madder. Well, these people don't sound like they're going to be too nice to Ferdinand, do they? Would it make you madder if someone stuck one of those long spears into you? Madder is another one of our feeling words, isn't it? Then came the matador, the proudest of all. He thought he was very handsome and bowed to the ladies. He had a red cape with a sword, and he was supposed to stick the bull last of all. Poor Ferdinand. I hope he gets out of this fight, don't you? Then came the bull, and you know who that was, don't you? Look how little. Ferdinand. Because we know Ferdinand's not very fierce, is he? So there he is. He's peeking out. He doesn't really want to come out and fight, does he? They called him Ferdinand the Fierce, and all the banderilleros were afraid of him, and the picadores were afraid of him, and the matador was scared stiff. Well, I heard some feeling words, did you? I heard afraid and scared stiff. Boy, they were really afraid of Ferdinand. They think he's really fierce because they saw the way that he acted after the bee stung him. They don't know he just likes to smell flowers, do they? Ferdinand ran to the middle of the ring, and everyone shouted and clapped because they thought he was going to fight fiercely and butt and snort and stick his horns around. There he is, coming out, right there. And then there's the matador. But not Ferdinand. When he got to the middle of the ring, he saw the flowers in all the lovely lady's hair, and he just sat down quietly and smelled. So he's just smelling all those flowers the ladies were wearing in their hair. He wouldn't fight and be fierce no matter what they did. He just sat and smelled. And the banderilleros were mad, and the picadores were madder, and the matador was so mad he cried because he couldn't show off with his cap and sword. So there's some more of our feelings word. Mad, madder, and so mad he cried. Boy, that's pretty mad when you're so mad you cry, isn't it? So they had to take Ferdinand home. So there goes Ferdinand. They're going to take him back home. And for all I know, he is sitting there still under his favorite cork tree, smelling the flowers just quietly. He is very happy. Did you hear our last feeling words? Very happy. And the end. That's the end of our story. Well, I hope you liked this story about the story of Ferdinand. So, when you read a book, be listening for the feelings words in your book that you're reading. Listen for the words like happy, sad, mad, all those words that we talked about in our story. Have fun reading your story. We'll talk to you later. Bye.